Let's take a look at developing learning objectives. Once an organization determines the skills it wants to accomplish in its training, it must establish learning objectives to guide the trainer in designing the training session. Training strategy drives learning objectives and training outcomes to ensure objectives are consistent with overall strategic goals. The Association for Talent Development defines a learning objective as the knowledge or skill that the trainee must obtain and exhibit in the training session to achieve training goals. ATD argues learning objectives explain in specific and measurable terms what trainees will do to learn the defined knowledge or skills and demonstrate this learning. In planning the objectives, you must first understand and determine the overall purpose of training. Ideally, this has been addressed during the needs analysis process and is expressed in training goals. The expectation is that a gap exists between the skills employees have now and what they need to accurately perform their jobs. Training is intended to bridge the gap to ensure employees receive appropriate training. Planning involves certain aspects: the intended audience of the training, the actions or behaviors expected, the conditions in which the training will occur, and the standards against which behaviors will be assessed. First, the training goals make clear the intended audience for training, typically assumed to be the trainees or employees. Be explicit regarding which employees will undergo the training. Second, the trainer must identify the expected performance of the trainees in the form of an action or a behavior. If the objective is too subjective, it will be difficult to determine if it has been successfully met. Third, the trainer must be able to identify the conditions in which the training will occur. Typical conditions include what tools and support might facilitate task completion or what environmental conditions to address. Finally, the trainer must determine a set of clear standards for the trainees that meet the minimum acceptable expectations for success. At this point in the training program, do not expect mastery or excellence. In order to write the objectives, once they're conceptualized, trainers must use clear, direct language that is easily identifiable and actionable. For example, there is a substantive difference between training with understanding as learning objective and a training with demonstrate as an objective. When possible, it's advantageous to frame the objective in terms of realistic or applied events. These can be linked to customer, vendor, supplier, or employee needs specifically and related to the organization's goals. Lastly, keep the objectives concise, typically expressed in one sentence. This will make it easier for the trainee to understand it and for the trainer to assess success. Standards should follow the guidelines of SMART goals or objectives. They are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Without following these SMART guidelines, it will be difficult to focus training on specific outcomes, and there'll be no way to accurately measure if objectives were met.